Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Well, first tonight, 4 teenagers are in a serious condition in hospital after being thrown from a car in a sickening early morning crash near Evandale. Police say the driver was just 16 years old and lost control on a dirt road before rolling the vehicle several times.
Days after Road Safety Week, these are not the scenes police wanted to see. A ute flipped on its side, the tray disconnected 10 metres away. Inside, at the time it crashed, a carload of teenagers. Behind the wheel, a learner driver just 16 years old.
It's a timely reminder that anybody who is the holder of any particular licence, that they abide by those licence conditions.
The car was travelling along Bryant's Lane in Nile just after 4 this morning when it lost control on the gravel road.
Into a sweeping bend which has caused the vehicle to roll a number of times.
3 passengers were ejected from the vehicle, 1 pinned underneath its weight. None were wearing seatbelts.
We remind people when they're on the roads of the fatal 5. One of those is seatbelts.
Another is alcohol, which police say was also a factor in the crash. Traffic halted for close to 10 hours as police conducted its investigations. What made matters worse is that all 4 occupants were overloaded into this now crushed single cab ute. And judging by its state, police say it's astonishing. All weren't killed instantly. All teenagers were rushed to the Launceston General Hospital, where tonight they remain in a serious but stable condition.
Not only puts the families and the people involved in a position where they're having to deal with these things, but also the first responders that are attending the scenes as well.
It comes as new rules for restricted drivers will be introduced next week, prohibiting more than 1 passenger under 25, plus a ban on hands-free mobile devices. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Investigations have continued into a suspicious blaze which gutted a unit at Lutana last night. Crews arrived at the Lucinda Parade property after 8 o'clock to find the building fully engulfed. Tasmania Fire Service says crews managed to prevent the blaze from spreading despite tricky conditions.
Crews were able to protect the buildings that were adjoining with the weather conditions at the time. Wind was sort of hampering efforts.
Police are looking into the cause. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Tasmania's Police Minister has come under fire after telling a parliamentary inquiry he didn't share information of sexual abuse allegations in the public sector with his colleagues. It was revealed Mark Shelton was told in August last year a nurse under investigation worked across several departments but didn't inform fellow ministers.
Did you informally or formally have conversations with relevant stakeholder ministers related to the care of children? Or the Premier?
No.
But neither formally nor informally did you discuss it with anyone else in government?
No.
In a later statement, he said it would be irresponsible to interfere or disclose matters that are subject to an ongoing police investigation. Premier Peter Gutwein said he stood by the minister and he acted appropriately. Biosecurity Tasmania has been left to defend its handling of passengers arriving off the now infamous Ruby Princess cruise ship. To explain more, we're joined live by reporter Sean McComish. Good evening, Sean. Now, how did these claims emerge?
Well, good evening, Kim. Primary Industries Minister Guy Barnett and department bosses were questioned at length this morning at parliamentary hearings. Labor claims that returning passengers from the cruise ship were released from an airlock at Launceston Airport in March. A report later revealed the ship is likely to blame for Tasmania's deadly northwest outbreak. But there's confusion over just who made that decision, with both the Minister and the State Controller unable to provide more detail.
Biosecurity staff identified the risk that the Ruby Princess passengers presented. They kept them in an airlock and they sought advice. What we don't know is where that advice actually came from to let them out.
Well, clearly Biosecurity Tasmania are acting on advice of the Public Health Director, and of course the State Controller is the ultimate decision maker, and they're acting on that advice.
Premier Peter Gutwein later clarified the issue further, saying there was no hotel quarantine system in place at the time, but that passengers had been detained in an overabundance of caution. Today we also learned more details on how the next hotel quarantine system will work, with an international Mercy flight expected next month. But of course all eyes will be on Victoria, with the border opening now just hours away. Flying against the COVID headwinds.
High-end tourism, it's a quiet machine. It's pretty quick, 170 knots.
With Tasmania on the cusp of opening to Victoria, David Wise has picked today to launch his new Cessna operation, covering everything from freight, firefighting and tourism.
I think the industry's generally quite confident at the moment. We're continuing to invest and we're seeing really good forward booking numbers for the summer.
Other projects grounded by COVID are also taking off.
So we're officially launching our penthouses on the top floor of the hotel.
Hobart City Apartments opened in June to a state closed to the world. Now the Swish penthouses are being booked out for summer.
New Year's we're more or less booked out already. So yeah, the Christmas period is looking very good.
From midnight, Tasmania will roll out the welcome mat to Victoria.
Welcome back. And to Tasmanians living in Victoria, welcome home.
But South Australia will remain classed as medium risk, meaning arrivals from the state must quarantine. An update is expected in coming days.
We have to be cautious as their current outbreak is really still spluttering. There's still a few cases.
More details also released about Mercy flights landing in Hobart from India on December 6. Passengers will be tested before leaving. Arrangements have also been finalised for hotel quarantine. Defence Force and AUSMAT teams will be deployed.
Tasmania Police will be managing and supervising the security arrangements 24/7 at the quarantine hotel with the support of ADF.
As Tasmania waits patiently to open to the whole nation, Hobart Airport isn't predicting a rush of passengers.
We're looking at about 65% of pre-COVID level flying in December. Indications are that looks to move to around 80% by January.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tasmanian Fire Service is warning people to expect 3 to 4 major blazes this summer as the Weather Bureau releases its latest outlook. Recent rainfall has reduced the early onset of bushfires, but experts hold concerns over one natural ignition source.
The summer outlook is in. Expect hot and dry conditions. Tasmania's average temperature will hover around 24 degrees, making the threat of dry lightning even more concerning.
Once we would have had rainfall coming through with the lightning bands, and therefore we don't get as many ignitions on the ground the next day, but now we're finding that we've got to get spotters up, we've got to get early notice.
The TFS says this year will be a normal bushfire season.
A normal bushfire season for Tasmania is 3 to 4 major fires.
Not something to expect until after the new year, thanks to a small amount of spring rainfall.
Down in Tasmania, about 20% below average.
Authorities are predicting the East Coast will not see the scale of fires seen in recent years, while La Nina is expected to flare blazes in remote parts of the West Coast. More evidence, it says, to create a 5-minute bushfire survival plan.
So that the people of Tasmania are well protected and ready and know what to do in case a bushfire strikes.
Nationwide, experts are predicting we won't see horrific bushfires similar to last year.
Lower fire risk in many areas, but we can't escape fires in an Australian summer. Southeastern Australia is one of the most fire-prone places in the world.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Some of Tasmania's legendary sporting figures have paid tribute to a local shipbuilder's new vessel, ready to set off overseas to a renowned cricket hub. It comes as INCAT also launches new advanced manufacturing facilities, aiming to further compete in the international market.
Boldly standing out from the ocean in red and white, this vessel built in Tasmania, ready to set sail to the Caribbean.
Well, this boat's bound for Trinidad and Tobago. For government service between the two islands.
The 100-metre-long Bucku Reef, almost 2 years in the making, currently docked here in Hobart. Finally finished, but due to COVID, it's uncertain when it will leave for a new home in the cricket-loving West Indies. But it's getting one final send-off from some of Tasmania's best.
This is one of the passenger lounges on board. It's very comfortable and will be great to spend some time with some of my West Indian mates here.
The vessel can hold 230 cars and some trucks. It will also cruise at around about 40 knots. It would also be a great space to bowl a few overs to my West Indian friends.
As well as gearing up to say goodbye to this vessel behind me, INCAT has also launched 2 new manufacturing facilities as it continues to compete in the international market.
The material comes in here, is cut and fabricated and then goes on to other facilities. And the only way we can compete in the world market really is by being at maximum efficiency.
Joining several other facilities, it's hoped increased capacity will allow the local shipbuilder to produce more vessels for overseas buyers.
Most of our ships go to international markets. We've got another one going to Spain after this. We've got one going to South Korea. We've got an order from South America, but that's on hold for the time being because of the COVID. So we're anxious to get more orders.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
2 sporting clubs at each end of the state are set to benefit from new and improved facilities. Risdon Vale and Georgetown both unveiling redevelopments, with the communities around them also big winners.
What makes local sporting clubs great?
It's the people. It really is. We're such a tight-knit club. We embrace everyone that comes along.
Keen building a community are the right facilities. The clubs playing at Risdon Vale Oval now better prepared to do that thanks to these upgrades.
We're hoping that more people in the local area will get along to more games to support us.
It's designed so that it caters for the increasing demand for women's sport as well as men's sport.
This redevelopment is also incorporating improved storage, kitchen facilities and change rooms.
It's really nice to be able to provide a quality infrastructure and sporting facility here.
The same goes for Georgetown Football Club, where they've received new lighting, partly paid for by those it's set to serve.
It's not just a football club area, it's a community area, which, you know, now with the lighting, it opens up things like bands and concerts that we could have up here.
They've previously had to hire temporary lighting to play night games, which turned out to be an own goal.
The nights that we played those games, being on the field and not being able to see the other end of the ground, not being able to see the ball coming in.
Alongside new seating, club rooms and female change areas, it's helping them kick goals while recruiting.
Our pre-season started last week and our numbers are really strong and registrations are coming in thick and fast.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, after months of being stuck inside learning from home, some Eastern Shore Grade 6 students were finally able to run together in the sunshine. Competing in a 24-hour relay, Belrive Primary School students are aiming to travel the distance from Hobart to Launceston by doing laps of their own oval. A fun challenge to end a tough school year following several cancelled events.
It's really fun because we've missed out on a lot of things this year. And yeah, it's a good way to pay it back.
What we're trying to do is just give these grade 6s a really unique, challenging mental and physical experience as well.
The relay is also raising money for new athletics uniforms and will continue tomorrow. Well, from next week, Georgetown locals will have another place to shop. Final preparations are being made this week to the City Missions news store ahead of opening day on Monday.
We find we build community around the shops, and it can be really positive to just contributing to community spirit. And so, yeah, we look forward to helping in Georgetown.
Funds from the Sorrell Street store will go towards the charity's continued projects in the area. Trevellyn Dam's Eel Bypass is collecting plaudits, winning an award from the Australian Water Association. Rather than negotiating a treacherous path over the dam, a small spray of water down the side allows the eels to travel down safely.
This hasn't been done anywhere, to our knowledge, anywhere else in Australia, and it's an emerging area of, I guess, fisheries management around the rest of the world.
Scaling the dam wall is only a small section of the eel's yearly migration from the Tamar River all the way to the Coral Sea off the coast of Queensland.
GG's second over has sensationally claimed the $100,000 Newmarket handicap. The 5-year-old gelding burst through the field with 150 metres to go. Just holding off a late charge from the favourite Mandela Effect, it won by a head.
GG second over, that's a 10 out of 10 ride from the outside alley.
Trained by the Wells family, the sprinter is set for a big summer as it sets out to regain its early career form.
Good evening everyone. Launceston the state's top today, reaching 25 degrees, Hobart 22, 23 in Devonport and Burnie 21. 24 at Friendly Beaches today, St Helens 21, Flinders Island, Low Head and Grove all 19, 18 in Strawn and Lyawini 14. Low-level cloud can be seen around much of the west and far south of the state today, with small amounts around the east. Further out, that low-level cloud can also be seen across southern Victoria, as well as the coastal areas of the mainland. High-level cloud is present around the northwest of Western Australia and into South Australia and the Northern Territory. Tomorrow's chart shows a high-pressure system in the Tasman Sea extending a ridge over Tasmania, while a cold front approaches from the west. Northeasterly winds tomorrow morning 10 to 20 knots, reaching 20 to 30 knots about the east and southeast in the afternoon, swells reaching 3 to 4 metres in the west and south. And there is a strong wind warning current from the northern tip of Flinders Island to Low Rocky Point. 27 in Hobart and Huonville tomorrow, partly cloudy, and 25 in Campania. Possible showers and 23 in Launceston, 19 in Devonport, Georgetown reaching 20. 18 degrees in Burnie and Wynyard tomorrow, 23 with late showers in Strahan. And in the east, 21 in St Helens, partly cloudy, and 23 in Swansea, and Port Arthur, 25. And the UV tomorrow is very high 9s across the state, with the sun expected to set at around 8:25 p.m. Looking on to Saturday now, showers more likely about the north and west. Showers easing on Sunday, contracting to the west and northeast. And on Monday, mainly fine with light northwesterly winds. 25 in Perth tomorrow, very hot, and 40 in Adelaide, partly cloudy in Melbourne and Sydney, 29 in Brisbane, and sunny, and 41 in Alice Springs. And it's currently clear across the state with Hobart 19 degrees, 23 in Launceston and Devonport 20. And Kim, that is your weather tonight.
Thank you very much, Chelsea, and that is your news for this Thursday. We'll have news, sport and weather news breaks later this evening. Thanks for your company. Good night.